name is Lucas Shawstad, and I was in a near fatal car accident January 23rd of 2021. And I had a less than 5% chance of living and even less percent chance of ever walking again. And I am here to tell my story of my experiences and my hardships and my triumphs through those hard times with all of you guys. So I got a job opportunity in Washington State for doing private contracting through Atlas Corporation. And so me and a couple of my friends from Detroit Lakes, we headed out there, and it was building a Dollar General. After we finished construction, me and my buddy Yuri decided to head back instead of just stick around and go sightseeing. And so we headed back. I took first shift driving, and I drove probably about 8 in the morning until nighttime. And it was very late, I was very tired, and I decided to pull over because I was kind of nodding off behind the wheel. Yuri hopped in the driver's seat, then I hopped in the passenger. I reclined my seat, forgot my seat belt, and fell asleep. I fell asleep in the passenger seat, and I didn't wake up for just about a month straight. Didn't know what was going on, didn't know where I was. All I know is I woke up in a hospital bed, and my mom was right next to me to the right, and the nurse was to the left. What had happened is my buddy Yuri ended up falling asleep, and we were driving through Montana. Speed limit there is 80 miles an hour on the highway. So we were going about 80, 85, and he fell asleep, was starting to dive into the median of the road, quickly yanked the wheel, overcorrected, and we started to roll. We rolled twice, and through those 2 times, I ended up getting launched out the back window of my truck and breaking it, and we landed cab down, and I was in the bed of my truck. I don't remember that, of course, because I was sleeping at the time. But what I was told is that Yuri got out, and this guy named Jay stopped. And he had like a worker's like onesie in a sense, but like for working in a shop. And he put that over me to keep me warm because it was really cold. I mean, January, put that over me to keep me warm until paramedics could arrive. And then I was transported to Glendive Medical, where they did their best to stabilize me, but weren't really getting anywhere. And so then I got transferred to Billings. After being at Billings for a while, they were able to stabilize me, but didn't really have the supplies necessary to, finish the operation. So then I got airlifted down to Denver, Colorado to Swedish Medical, and Swedish is connected to Craig Physical Rehabilitation through an underground tunnel. So when I did wake up, I would be able to start my rehabilitation back and hopefully walk and kind of be myself. But yeah, like I said, I did wake up so dazed and confused, didn't know where I was. And when I woke up, my mom looked at me and she's like, "Oh my God, he's awake." And the nurse started asking me a bunch of questions. What's your name? Where are you? Who's this lady next to you? All this and that, which I surprisingly could answer with no issue. But I couldn't move the left side of my body. And at this point, I didn't know about the strokes and seizures that I suffered while I was unconscious. And within a couple days, while still at Swedish Medical, I was able to gain movement the left side of my body again. And it might not be as strong as it was, but I can still move it. I'm still very grateful. But my left side of my skull was removed because it was shattered beyond repair. I lost my left eye. I got a prosthetic in right now, and I have a fusion in my spine. But a couple days went by at Swedish Medical. I was able to start walking with a walker, and it was my first time walking in over, about a month, and it was hard. I mean, what do you expect, I haven't walked in over a month, let alone with traumatic brain injury and pretty insane damage to my overall body. I believe the day after I went walking, I got transferred to Craig. And while I was at Craig, I had physical therapy, speech, and just a couple other ones. I don't really remember them off the top of my head. But I was there from about February 20th, something around there, maybe 23rd, because I know that my birthday was only a couple days away when I got there. But not gonna lie, being in rehab was probably the hardest part because I had a lot of setbacks. I had meningitis in my brain, and that was only discovered after they put the skull flap in, which is just a little 3D printed thing, and then they, of course, inserted it into my head. Setback after setback after setback. Wasn't looking all that well for me. I was starting to give up hope that I might not ever get out, and if I did, I was never going to be the same. But I didn't stop. I kept pushing forward because I knew I had loved ones back home that wanted to see me, and I wanted to see them. So finally, my last surgery came after having a PICC line inserted right there on my arm to inject me with antibiotics for a month straight to hopefully clear up my body of the meningitis, of that illness that was coursing through me at the time and could have killed me. After that month, I got a test done and there was no meningitis at all. And so they scheduled another skull flap surgery, and then I went and got put under for that. Woke up, and shortly after waking up, of course, when they knock you out, I had to throw up. So that was fun, but I had a lot of pain in my head still, because something that I suffered from until I got my skull flap is called sunken flap syndrome, and it's where your skin is touching your brain directly, and it makes you extremely nauseous and all that. It's essentially vertigo, but with extra steps. But yeah, they put the skull flap back in, and I was able to walk after they transported me to my room in the hospital, or at the therapy there. And I like to say a couple hours went by, and then I was able to walk. About a week went by after that, and they were talking about discharge. And I was really happy because, not gonna lie, it's not really a place where I wanted to be, but I knew I had to be there, whether I wanted to or not. Because, you get knocked down, what do? Stay down? No, you get back up and you keep fighting. And we went to my final meeting with all my therapists, kind of like in a circle. I walked out there with my cane because I was finally allowed to.
Minnesota, here we come.
Woo!
I can solemnly say that if my mom wasn't there by my side, probably wouldn't have made it through, because she was my rock. And that meeting went very good. The doctor, the lead doctor there, the lead neuropsychiatrist pulled me aside and he was like, Lucas, I'm going to be honest with you, you got really screwed out of rehab and what we all have to offer. He's just like, don't think that this is how it is for everyone. Not everybody has the setbacks that you did. He's like, but with all of that included, he's like, I think you did pretty good. And I was like, well, I'll take it, thank you. And that night, me, Mom, and my sister Grace went back to where she was stayed the night at that little apartment there, house, whatever it's called. And stayed the night. Early that morning, we went out, got on the plane, flew back to Minnesota, or North Dakota. We flew into North Dakota. My brother Gunnar and stepdad Chad were there waiting for us. Upon arrival, we got in there and came home. I shouldn't have survived my accident. By all means, all the doctors were saying that it's a literal miracle that I'm alive. And before my accident, I kind of teeter-tottered with God. He is the reason that I'm still here. And I'd like to thank everybody at my church for praying for me. Didn't pretend like I was nothing. Every one of you guys mean a lot to me. Whether we've talked only once or, waved at each other, doesn't matter. I kind of feel like all of this back in 2021 was kind of like God showing me what would happen if I continued down the path that I was going, that I would eventually end up in hell and all that. But God gave me a second chance to change my ways, because there's no other explanation to why I'm still here. God is the only one. And I might not have been a firm believer before, but you bet your butt, I am definitely a believer now. I know that there's a higher power, and I hope that this reaches out to everybody watching this. Seatbelts do save lives. My buddy Yuri was wearing his. He had a couple scratches and bruises on him, but he's still alive to tell the tale too. Wear your seatbelt. It takes not even 3 seconds to reach over, grab it, put it across you, and click it in. If you're tired, don't drive. Find a rest area, pull over. I'll take a rest. Because when you keep pushing yourself, you're eventually going to get to that point where you just can't keep pushing anymore. You're going to be too tired. You're going to need a rest. So, yeah, this is my story. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk.